All right, so Blizzard has announced for Season 4, voting on the Transmog appearance of the tier set and what tier set bonuses you would like for Arms, Fury, and Prot for the upcoming Season 4. So let's go through them. Let's look at the sets and then cast our votes because we do warrior things here. So why not, right? Let's have some fun with it. First off, we have Season 1. For Season 1, the arm set is Mortal Strike and Cleave damage and chance to critically hit increased by 10%. And the 4 set is Mortal Strike, Cleave, and Execute critical strikes. Increase your damage and critical strike chance by 5% for 6 seconds. Pretty solid, pretty good. And we'll go through Arms, then Fury, then Prot for these. For the Season 2 set, we have Deep Wounds increases your chance to critically strike and crit damage dealt to afflicted targets. And then the 4 set is Deep Wounds critical strikes have a chance to increase the damage of your next mortal strike and cause it to deal additional physical damage and do a shockwave in front of you, stacking up to a few times, damage reduced beyond 5 targets. And then the final set, which is our current tier set, is Rend damage increased by 30%, and sudden death can be triggered, can trigger Rend's bleed damage. And sudden death also makes your next execute powerfully slam the ground, causing a thunderclap that deals 100% increased damage. In addition, the execute target bleeds for 50% of the execute's damage over 5 seconds. If the bleed is reapplied, the remaining damage is added to the new bleed. Okie dokie. So what do I think about these sets, right? What do I prefer of them? And the one thing that is very odd to note, especially about all of the arm sets, is your builds don't change. Like, at all. Your Bladestorm build is the same, your single target build is the same, your Raid Cleave build is the same. There were some small interactions, like people were running on Karag in Season 1, for example, like the Fervor of Battle build, but most people, I think, are looking more towards because of the overall nature, like either the single target or the Bladestorm variants of these builds, and the main difference between 1 and 2 target, if you have massive amounts of uptime on 2 target, is just taking improved sweeping strikes. Because after the changes from Season 1, we actually did get some changes where sweeping strikes is now baseline. We got strength of arms and some other small things. But for my interest, at least, for what I think the best arms set be, personally, is going to probably be the current set we have. Just because it has decent AoE potential, spreading Rend is actually kind of a problem, especially in big packs. So the more you spread it, the more chances that you have to trigger sudden death. You get more sudden deaths, which is more priority damage, which spreads more bleeds. So I do like this tier set. The runner-up would not be this tier set. But my runner-up would be... Why did I just close that? I don't know why I closed that. The runner-up for me would be the first tier set, just because it's just strong. It's just strong. Crit damage, increases your crit damage, increases your crit damage. It's just a very nice, strong set that I like. But like I said, because there's nothing really interesting happening with these sets, basically nothing really changes, which is kind of a bummer. Which, with arms, where you just literally don't change the whole time. The one thing that I would like to see fixed, however, or changed, is I think Test of Might, the Test of Mights you get are smaller because of your sudden death procs. So I think that you should be able to... The sudden death should count towards your Test of Might overall rage spent. But I think that'd be a good change. But otherwise, for arms, Season 3 is my winner. Season 3 is the winner for... Season 3 appears to be the winner so far here. It still has plenty of time to vote. But at least the arm set is somewhat interesting, right? Now let's move on to Fury. this set bonus was actually had to get buffed multiple times originally in season 1. Just execute's chance to critically strike is increased by 25%. And the 4-piece is sudden death's chance to reset the cooldown of execute, make it usable on any target regardless of health, is greatly increased. So you just have a lot more sudden death procs. There is the season 2, which is rampage damage and crit chance increased by 10%. And Rampage causing your next Bloodthirst to have a 10% increased critical strike chance, dealing 25% increased damage and generating 2 additional rage, stacking up to 10 times. And this is the current set where it is our Odin's Fury and Bloodthirst set, which the 2 set is Odin's Fury deals 50% increased damages, causes your next 3 Bloodthirst to deal 150% additional damage, and have 100% increased critical strike chance against its primary target. And then the 4 set is Bloodthirst crits also reduce the cooldown of Odin's Fury, leading into a decent little feedback loop. And this one's a little more interesting to me. One thing I thought that I actually really enjoyed about the Season 1 set was that you ran the same build the whole time with this set. Interestingly enough, so with this set, if we go to Tools, Talent, Warrior, Fury, and then I think there's some multi-rated Annihilator. So this set was actually kind of interesting. We'll go with Season 2. We'll go to this. This set, because it had no Bloodthirst bonus from the Season 2 set, all you ran was this. Sorry, I have to reset this up. This is what you ran for literally all content. Well, you didn't run this. You would run something like that instead. Maybe for Mythic Plus, you take the extra point out. But you just ran this for literally everything. We had one build the entire season. And you know what? I kind of liked it. I'm lazy about shit like this. And the fact that one build meets all, or one size fits all, it works for everything. You have AoE, you have single target, you have execute. I didn't mind this build, actually. I kind of liked it for Season 1. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't really interesting, but it was pretty good, and I liked the play style. I think most people, for execute specifically, ended up playing arms for most of the tier after it received its little changes. But this is what the Season 1 talent tree would look like. Then we have the Season 2 challenge tree, which all it did was add those points into Bloodbath and Cold Steel Hot Blood. And Season 3, obviously, is our new set where we have the Raging Reckless Abandon Burst build. Interestingly enough, depending on what you need to do, the most valuable type of damage in the game is a burst profile. So this tier set is actually very, very good. Fury currently is pretty damn good in what it does. The problem is it's just not as good because it's not tuned high enough, right? Things like Demon Hunters and Rogues completely excel at even 5 to 8 targets where we should excel. And it makes it problematic, not in gameplay, but problematic in its current form balance. So, what to pick? Because there's merits to all of them. I also, personally, really enjoy running Anger Management for Mythic Plus. I really like the Anger Management playstyle because it feels like you always have something for these different packs. You always have something going on. And it feels really good to always have that Wreck Ravager rolling, though you can roll it with your shout windows, always get that 30% buff. It feels good. I really, really like the Anger Management playstyle. And because the Anger Management playstyle has high uptime on Recklessness, it feels way better to play. And one of the problems I actually have with this current tier set is that we're actually pretty RNG heavy on our performance. The difference between getting a lot of good decent recklessness procs is a pretty significant difference, because the more recklessness procs you get, the more rage you're building, the more rampages you're casting because you have all this extra rage. which means you get more recklessness uptime. Um, and one thing that the season 1 and 2 sets didn't have is it allowed you to, in your gameplay, keeping uptime. Sometimes the recklessness uptime wasn't crazy, but depending on if you played well enough and you had just a little bit of good RNG compared to now, you really kept a high amount of rec uptime and it felt pretty good. So it's honestly pretty difficult for me to choose, right? Because the season 3 set giving us a burst profile is actually really, really good. It's really good, actually. Um, but I feel hard pressed because this playstyle is literally you have execute, you have single target, you're cleaving, it's one build fits all. I'm a lazy piece of shit, so I like that. And then this playstyle where you have the build up to you have more rampage damage, you're doing more build up to bloodthirsts, but having to choose one, I think I'm gonna have to go with first place going to this current tier set. The current how it currently works and the burst profile, it is very, very good. The amount of extra AoE you get through Odin's Fury is pretty good. Getting additional Avatar uptime and Avatar also being able to break roots and stuff like that is super good. You have a crazy amount of healing with the amount of bloodthirsts and bloodbaths you're putting out with a build like this. It is so tanky. It is so good. The only thing I would hope for is that one thing I wish we got buffed a little is to reduce the amount of RNG in our build. I kind of wish Unbridled Ferocity would get a bit of a buff. Maybe up to 25% chance. But Depths of Insanity just kind of sucks. So maybe they would just honestly, if they maybe rework Depths of Insanity, because it's something we have not taken for the entire expansion. Reworking this talent to be something that's actually decent as an option versus the potential for this, I think would be way more interesting as a choice, right? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But for Fury, I'm gonna have to go with the tier 3 set. It is just very good, very efficient, very strong. The only thing it lacks is general throughput, but that is realistically a tuning problem compared to it's realistically a tuning problem, I think, compared to the actual issues that the class currently has. We do have a lot of issues with like utility and shit like that, but in terms of the current gameplay of it, I think season 3 definitely wins out. Season 1 was very boring, very cookie cutter, but I think my vote obviously reflects the votes of others here as well. Prot Warrior, honestly, I'm just gonna have to defer it to what I've heard people talking about. This set bonus here was kind of interesting, where you just had Last Stand more, but you started using Last Stand to like deal damage instead of actually using it as a defensive because of the cooldown and because of the tier set for season 2. So it's kind of weird. I don't remember anything about this tier set. You know, I didn't really like this tier set, if I remember right. It just, I don't know, something about it. It just wasn't great from what I remember. But so it'd be between tier 2 and tier 3. I don't know enough about this playstyle because I have not messed with it at all. But I think if we were to look at something I think would be interesting is if we went to Raider IO as an example, right? And we did we did all tanks. Can I go above a certain key level, right? But if we look at all tanks, we actually have one of each tank here within the top 40, which is actually really good. Even though Warrior is definitely a little lower than what you might think. Like, actually, wait, here's a DK. You don't, I guess within the top 50, you have at least one of every tank. Obviously, with the reworks, Vengeance and Prop Alley are dominating overall just because of how good they are, how much utility they bring, what they bring, right? But the fact that even here, you're having people that are still doing Blood DKs, Prop Warriors, even saw on the front um, these Guardian Druids, shit like that. I think it's really good. Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to go with the tier 3. If I go back to season 2, let's see. If we go back to season 2, obviously it's basically Bear Druid all the way down. And this was because that Bear Druid was obviously overpowered as shit. You see a warrior here. Actually, you see two, but Druid, all about that Druid, right? And I think that mainly really had to do with the power that Druid had in their tier set bonus and the lack of power that was coming from the Warrior tier set bonus, and the fact that you're using your defensives to deal damage, meaning that you had them less, and then because you're using them, you're not using them for their defensive value. At least that's honestly, I don't really play prot that much. So that's just my cook take when I look at this. Interestingly enough, if we do go back to season 1, however, season 1 was probably one of the most diverse metas. In terms of tanks, you had all different kinds of tanks. Obviously, a lot of prop paladins were played here, but even in the top, you're seeing warriors, seeing vengeance, you're seeing blood DKs, you're seeing prop paladins, you're seeing brewmasters. You're actually seeing a decent amount of variance. Obviously, very heavily prop pally favored, but not nearly as heavily favored as it was in the druid meta. So this tells me that their tier set was pretty good. Things are going decent for them. However, I think that in relative power standing, tier 3 probably goes for that for the protection warrior. And people seem to agree as well. Although it looks like there's actually a decent amount of people that did enjoy the season 1 set as well. And Warrior was very good. I don't know if that's nostalgia either, because one of the things that was very interesting is essentially until Og Evoker was added, Warrior was doing pretty good. One of the things Og really does for other tanks is it just gives them more armor. It makes them more durable against physical hits, which Warrior never had a problem with physical hits and always had an issue with magic damage. And Og Evoker doesn't really assist the Warrior on dealing with magic damage, it's just make them even more tanky to physical damage. So because of that, and because of how the meta works, it's always working against Warrior in terms of what it's strong against versus what we're dealing with, right? There are special use cases like Waycrest Manor for Prot Warrior specifically, which has some interesting interactions, but realistically, the Season 3 set is probably going to be, I guess, will be my go-to, even though I do not play Prot very often, because I just don't enjoy tanking in World of Warcraft. But now we have the final choice, right? What tier set do I think is the coolest? What tier set do I think is the best? And for that, we should look in here, right? Burden. Well, here we go. So what tier set is the best? This one isn't great. I get that they're going like the whole furnace thing, but like, man, I didn't like it when it was shown. I didn't like it after they changed the helmet design. I still don't like it. I'm not a fan of this tier set. I don't like the way it looks. I will have to get some cloaks and shit to get the mythic version of this Mog. I'll have to go get a bunch of different cloaks and stuff, but it just doesn't look good, man. I don't like the way this thing looks. But let's go to the Season 2 set, right? Oh, that's a Glad set. Season 2 set was honestly pretty good. I don't know why they made it white, though. It's a dragon theme set, and they made our tier set white, of all things, right? This looks way better as a red dragon tier set. This is obviously the PvP set, but why is it white, man? The heroic version looks way better than the mythic version. Even this version looks way better. Why is it white? Why did they keep this white theme for warrior? It's so weird. I feel like this should have been the normal and like maybe this should have been the mythic or something, man. This some people like it, but I don't when I think warrior, I don't think of a white tier set. I never do. But I don't think I'm going to go with this. I don't really like it that much. Which obviously leaves us with the Vault of the Incarnates, the Rocky Boy set. I did like this set, actually. I liked it quite a bit. I thought the boots were pretty good. One of the things I do like about the set, when you look at the other two comparatively, is look how bulky the boots are. I really like a sleek-looking set, and this set looks really good. You have Kurog Thunderstompers with the light coming through here. It's got the plates in the front. They look like a big rock man. They will never fix elves' ear clipping issues. I hope to God that their work on running an AI program to help fix these issues with models clipping through armor sets goes well. I think that's one of the better uses of AI potentially than having a bunch of devs manually go through and try and fix ear clipping issues on helmets. I think that's a good use of the technology comparatively. But I actually really like this set. It is one of my favorites for sure. I liked all the variants of it, even the heroic variant of it. I didn't end up getting the Season 1 set just because I just didn't PvP at all. But I kind of wish I did because it actually looks pretty good. But this set also has that white theme, but it's like rock. Like, think about fucking rock and stone, we're rich, mushroom. Like, think about... it feels more warrior to me, right? It feels way warrior. If this dragon shit was red, we'd be chilling. And then they made this one red, but then they turned us into an easy bake oven. I'm like, fucking stop. Like, you look at the DK tier set, and then you look at ours, and you're like, so why do we have, like, some chains here and some chains here, which looks like it would fit way better with the DK tier set, but then we're just an easy bake oven? Like, I don't like the way this tier set looks. So, we are obviously going with the Season 1 tier set. I think it looked the best. It was the coolest. And people are voting Season 2. Interesting. I thought Season 1 was way, way better. But, already talking about the ears and the fucking helm. Wait, you know what? You know what's actually interesting? Let me look at the Season 2 set. Does it actually hide the ears? It does. Is half the reason why people like the Season 2 set because it hides the ears properly? I mean, I guess the Season 3 set does as well, but... Man, I'm gonna have to go back and get this tier set. Actually, I wonder if I can find a way to get these old tier sets as well. Because I would really, really, really like to have them. I just really want to finish the set. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling about the vote, about Season 4. I'll be honest with you, not very excited for a Fated season. I'm more excited to do more Mythic Plus, hopefully in all the Dragonflight dungeons again, than I am to do the raids. Because at this point, the raids are solved. So we're not really doing anything new, so it's kind of just a Mythic Plus season. But that's what I'm feeling. That's where we're at. And I didn't expect this video to be 25 minutes. So, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye-bye.